Everyone tells you you have great potential. You could be great. You're talented. But instead of motivating, sometimes that shit can haunt you because you don't always live up to that sad expectation that people place on you. Potential starts feeling like a version of yourself that you could have been that you're not. You know, always better than who you are right now. It's a lot of weight and it stops becoming a compliment. You know, it gets to a point where you start feeling guilty every single hour that's wasted and quote unquote unproductive that's not going towards a goal because potential. It's like you're constantly disappointing the future you that everyone expects you to be. There's a gap that potential creates. The person you are to the person you should quote unquote be. It makes you feel like you're stuck in the middle of comparing yourself to a version of you that doesn't exist yet. And in that gap, anxiety is born. Praise isn't always not harmful. You know, it could become pressure. People mean well, but they don't realize that they're handing you a burden that you probably didn't even want. Every you're smart is why aren't you using it? You know, you'll be you'll be successful as becomes why aren't you successful yet? You know, it's a whole bunch of expectation, and growing up with the expectations creates a survival mode that you grow up in. You know, you can't fail, but you can't start because starting exposes the truth of maybe you didn't even have that potential. But people place that idea in your head, hey, you got that potential. It's a fear of proving yourself wrong that you're not all of that. You know, that's the real prison of potential. You're gonna fail yourself. You're gonna prove to yourself that you're not really that special. So you end up procrastinating, you avoid and distract. But it's simply because you're scared of confirming that, yeah, you're really not all that. You look online, I've said this before, but it creates like a highlight reel, all the social media on Instagram and shit, and wherever you see people socializing online. You know, they artists with a career or people with businesses and you feel behind because you're not doing shit yet. Somebody your age is already doing something and you're not doing something, but you're forced to believe that potential needs action. So you say you're not good enough because you're not doing anything yet. But all it comes down to is potential isn't really anything. Potential is an idea somebody forced upon you. You don't need potential to feed you or to build anything. You know, quote unquote potential is just unused energy. It becomes valuable when you have a direction to use that energy in. The only way out of that prison is to let go of trying to be perfect. Hell, it's best to do that shit on day one. Trade in that idea of what you can be with the reality of doing something small right now. That's so much more efficient and better on your mental health than trying to keep up that potential. You'll never live up to your potential if you're too afraid to look stupid first, because you're going to be afraid of making that mistake. So you got to stop worshiping that future self of you and instead start building up a future self of you. Not necessarily that quote unquote potential one, but just a version of you that you fuck with. Potential isn't something you discover, it's something you prove through action. And if we're being 100% truthful, potential isn't real.